My business started December of 2011. And just to tell you guys a little bit about how I got there. I work for a company, pretty big company, like a lot of people. 2011, they laid off about a quarter or a third of the staff. So I needed to do something, and I lived up near Portland at the time, Hillsboro. And I'd had some rentals before in Eugene and up in Tigard. And I was looking at the economy and just kind of where things were going, and I thought real estate would be a good area because it didn't look like it was doing too good, which meant opportunity. So I started educating myself, started researching, learning, and then in December 2011, end of the year, did my first transaction in Mobile, Alabama. So if you guys don't know Mobile, it's a neat area. Airbus, big aircraft manufacturer, they just went in there recently. But I bought a property there, and I sold a property there, and I did it in half an hour. So I bought it at 10 and sold it at 10:30. And so I thought, beginner's luck maybe. Started doing it more and more last year, beginning of the year, and I've done a number of those. So did 15 last year. So I just wanted to just kind of open it up a little bit and find out what you guys wanted to talk about or learn about, just to kind of give you an overview of what I do. So about half the properties that we did last year were HUD properties. So we bought and sold HUD properties, and we can talk about those if you want, the ins and outs of that. And then the other half or so were houses that we bought on the courthouse steps in Alabama. So done that in Kentucky, Tennessee, and Alabama. That's where we bought and sold properties in end of 2011 and then last year.
Why there?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We can start there. Why the Southeast? And the easy answer is because my strategy worked best there, I guess. So what I was doing was, Ross and I were talking before we started about the real work of wholesaling, right? He was saying, well, wholesaling, I don't really get that, which most people don't really get that. I didn't get it when I started. And it's like those, you guys ever watch those infomercials? I mean, there's plenty of real estate infomercials too, right? But the infomercials for the gym systems and stuff, like the ab thing or the other thing, the Total Gym with Chuck Norris or whatever. And it's like 5 minutes a day, right? And you see they're just, and you always think there's got to be something else. I mean, don't you think, okay, well maybe he's on that for 5 minutes a day, but he's got to be doing something else for 5 hours a day. I mean, there's something else there. Or if you guys remember Paul Harvey, it's the rest of the story. Yeah. What's the rest? I mean, there's always something else that they're doing. So that's what I wondered about wholesaling. What's the something else? What are these people really doing? Because if they're going and getting it at such a deep discount that someone else is going to buy it from and they're going to make a profit or a fee, then why wouldn't they just go get it themselves? So the answer for me was make a lot of offers. So that's what I was doing that other people weren't doing, is making a lot of offers, a lot of low offers, low ball offers. So that when we got one accepted, it was a steal. I mean, it was a wholesale deal. So the Southeast was where we could do that because the rents and the purchase prices aren't way out of whack, like they are in other areas. So what I mean by that is you can buy a place for $30,000 that rents for $600. So you get a lot more investors that have more options with their exit strategies when they could rent it, they could lease option it, they could sell or finance it. They could fix it, flip it, retail or whatever. So that's where they got accepted first, so that's where I started.
Are you doing that online, or do you have to go to the courthouse steps?
So the HUD properties, no. you don't have to go there. So that place in Mobile, it was listed for $35,000 as a HUD property, and I got it for $7,000 and change. Found a buyer that bought it from me for $17,000, and we did a simultaneous closing. Right, so I paid $500 for the deposit, and then they just sent me the check out of the proceeds. So we just did a back-to-back closing. So. No, a lot of pictures, contractors, looking at them, inspectors, appraisers. Like we talked about the ARV, so the contractors giving me repair estimates saying this is what the repairs are going to cost. An appraisal subject to the repairs. This is what it's going to be worth when it's fixed up. CMA from an agent, right? Here's the comps. That way the buyer knows what they're getting too. So no, I never looked at it in person, but pictures, video, and built relationships with people. One in particular now where it's more of a partnership, and we trust each other. Yeah, so that's a good question. Yes.
And have you met that person?
Huh?
Have you met that person?
Yeah, his name's Jonathan Keith. He's in Mobile, Alabama, and I met him face to face for the first time in August. Just because we arranged to meet each other after we'd done a number of transactions together.
So he's your realtor?
He's an agent in Mobile, yeah. And so he found a number of the deals for me, and we partnered on them. Or I found them, and he
Well, the South sounds to me like the Southeast has a lot lower property prices than we are up here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like the property I was just telling you about is pretty typical. So yeah, probably 40, 50,000 would probably be the average in the 50s for a 3-2 built in 2000s brick ranch, 1,500, 1,800 square feet.
Wow.
You say that's average retail value or average
what we get them at? What we get them at, and the ARV's probably 80, 90, 80s, 85, something like that.
There must be a lot more foreclosures then.
Yeah, and that's the other thing you were saying, Susan or Mary. Why did pick there? And that's part of it too. Yeah. So
it sounds like there's a huge demand for rentals as well.
That helps. Yeah, to not have a big occupant or a big vacancy, and yeah, that's true. I mean, in places like Detroit, or I don't know those markets so well, but of course, if it was so depressed where you had no,
right.
I mean,
and they're not going to pay them.
No economy.
You're just speculating if you're going to buy a home.
No jobs.
Yeah. They go from having a house to renting a house.
Contractors and your realtors, people that do your estimates and do your work, reliable people.
Yeah, that's a good question. So BJ was saying, how do you find your contractors? A lot of different ways. Service Magic, property managers, local property managers, agents, title companies, attorneys, appraisers, inspectors. Good. And usually people, it's funny, you talk to an appraiser or something, it's probably like most of us say, well, who's a contractor you could recommend? And they'll say, well, they'll give you one. You say, do you know anybody else? Well, I do, but not that I'd recommend. Right? So you find out who's good, and you can usually, within talking to them for 30 seconds, once you kind of have done it a little bit, whether they're a contractor that understands rent ready versus retail ready. Right? I want this rent ready, or I want it retail ready. You'll even find contractors that want to make an offer on it once they've looked at it, or no buyers or something like that. Same thing. It's almost all the same thing you do if you're actually physically there. You're just doing it over the phone, over the internet. So just to give me an idea, just a sec, Ash. How many of you have wholesaled a property? I just want to know if I'm talking about things you guys already know about, or anybody? Justin, you have them? Jack, yeah. Okay. So not that many. How many of you've fixed and flipped than a rehab and a retail. A lot more. Okay. All right. Okay. Anybody done any of those with that was in another state, or where they weren't hands-on, or they didn't actually see it, or anything like that? Okay. Oh, you did, Bill? Oh, cool. Where was it?
Kansas City, Missouri, mostly.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I know some people invest in there too. There's people that are doing that are wholesaling. I know other investors that are wholesaling 20 to 30 a month in a dozen different states right now. So there's a lot of people doing that. So, what was your question, Ashton? Go ahead.
My question was, it appears you do a lot of deals through the internet and through different leads. Have you ever had a sour deal? And if you have had one, what did you do to exit that deal?
Yeah, that's a good question. And probably anybody that's been around, tell you, if you're looking for a mentor, someone to learn the ropes from, that's a question you should always ask them. Tell me about your worst deal, or when you lost money, or the deal that went the worst, or whatever. And if they tell you that they haven't had one, what should you do? Run away, right? Run away. Yeah, run away, because they're lying, or they haven't done anything, or whatever. Or they're perfect. But, probably the mistake I made towards the end of last year is I stopped focusing on wholesaling. I was telling Mario this. I stopped focusing on wholesaling so much. I said, well, let's go ahead and rehab and retail some properties. So now we have some properties that we're, I won't say stuck with, but we've had for several months. And it's a different world, retailing properties and selling to owner-occupant buyers and dealing with that whole. The good news is, because we bought so low, it's not like we're looking at losing money. It's just it's a different business, right? When you're looking to buy and sell, and you're looking for a cash buyer, and everything's quick and easy, than retail. That makes sense? We went way over on a rehab, so that deal could get kind of messy.
Would you? I was just wondering, in that situation, would you look to having at least an option that way you could recoup the money you got it, and the thing you kind of deal with them and say, okay, you'll cover our expenses for this period of time, but you will show that there are no vacancies for us, and therefore we're already leaving it. But for you, we just wanted to clear this debt, and maybe make a few thousand, but over time, the property should appreciate enough to where they make it real. I mean, was that a consideration at all?
Probably, like, if by June, spring, the nesting time in real estate, we still had retail properties, we'd probably do something like a lease option. Like, we have one property that we've gotten 3 different buyers really interested, but they have credit problems. So that'd be something, if we could get some long-term financing on it, we could take our cash out and sell or finance it to them. So stuff like that. The good news is, if you buy right, you have a lot more options than if you buy wrong. Isn't that true? If you buy wrong, you took away all your options. So it's a lot better to say, well, I may have to, worst case, break even or take a slight loss on this, versus something that wipes out your whole business before you can get started. That's a killer.
Do you write your own offers? Liz.
Hey, Liz.
Do you write your own offers, or do you have somebody churning out offers?
Good question. Let me use a slideshow, because I think it sounds like you guys are talking a little bit more about HUD stuff. So the offers thing is kind of interesting, and none of, I shouldn't say none, but very few of the techniques I use, strategies.